The IRS estimates that there are at least 10 million taxpayers that they've identified who have not filed taxes in at least 1 year. I'm Michael Redden, and I'm a tax attorney here in the Twin Cities, and I help taxpayers with IRS debt and debt to their state taxing authorities. Now, what you really have to understand is what happens when you don't file a tax return, okay? There are a lot of people out there who may have been just late filing on a year, but there are some folks who, for whatever reason, have 1 or 2 years, maybe even 10 years of tax returns that they have not filed. Well, the first thing is, if you have not filed that return, then there is a failure to file penalty. That penalty is 5% of what you owe every month, but it caps at 25%. So right off the bat, if you don't file it, then within 5 months of that time, you could owe 25% in penalties alone. And then the failure to pay penalty kicks in, and you'll have a 0.5% to 1% of the balance owed extra as a penalty going forward, and then the interest piles on too. So pretty quickly this can snowball, and that debt can really blossom and rise to be something that you just really can't handle. Now, when you want to settle up at the IRS, even if you don't have tax returns filed previously, they won't even talk to you until you're compliant. And what that means is you've got to have at least the last 6 years of tax returns filed, and you've got to be current on your payments. That means that if you're self-employed, you have to have met your quarterly payments, and if you're a W-2 employee, you have to have been withholding enough from each paycheck so that you would not owe any money to the IRS at the end of the year. And then once you can get compliant, then the IRS will talk to you, and you'll be able to start talking about that back tax debt, whether it's going to be an installment plan, whether you want to, in some instances, come back and challenge what you owe, or if you want to settle for what you can pay, if you can't pay it all over time, you can do an offer and compromise, and that's what a lot of folks think about when they hear about settling for pennies on the dollar, and it really depends on how much you can pay. But the IRS won't even talk to you about till you're compliant. They'll just keep adding those, add that interest, keep adding the penalties, and at some point it could become a criminal issue, right? If you haven't filed for years and years and years and you've got a big balance, that's kind of what tax evasion is, right? So if you or someone you know has a tax debt problem and you'd like to talk to me, go to taxhelpmeeting.com. That's taxhelpmeeting.com and set up a meeting.